So in this video, we're going to learn the concept of the coordinate plane. So recall in earlier classes in geometry, we have studied what a plane is. So what is a plane? It is a flat and smooth surface. I repeat, what is a plane? It is a flat and smooth surface. So see my board over here, it is a flat and smooth surface. Hence the board over here is a plane. Now how do we make a plane a coordinate plane? So whenever you want a coordinate plane, what we do is we take a plane. On the plane, draw two number lines perpendicular to each other. See, this over here is one number line. I repeat, look at x dash ox. This over here is a number line. Similarly, y dash oy, again a number line. I repeat, this over here is a number line, which we have studied earlier. Similarly, this over here is again a number line. So here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, here negative numbers, here positive numbers, here negative numbers. So how do we get a coordinate plane? Simply take two number lines, place them perpendicular to each other. That means the angle between these two number lines is 90 degrees. So whenever we place two number lines perpendicular to each other, we get a coordinate plane. So this over here is the coordinate plane. I repeat, how do we get the coordinate plane? Simply take two number lines perpendicular to each other, right? So then you'll have a coordinate plane. So now let's study about the parts of this coordinate plane. See, I have two number lines over here, x dash ox and y dash oy. So this horizontal line is called the x-axis. I repeat, this horizontal line is called the x-axis, right? Similarly, what is the vertical line called? The vertical line is called the y-axis. So this over here is the y-axis. I repeat, the horizontal line is called the x-axis and the vertical line is called the y-axis. Now, if you focus on the x-axis, that is x dash ox, look at this point over here. Going to the right, we have positive numbers, and to the left of 0, we have negative numbers, right? So this over here is positive x-axis. So this over here is basically positive x-axis. Similarly, look at the left of 0. Here we have negative numbers. So this over here is the negative x-axis. Just like in the number line, we have the positive and negative side. Same thing over here. Positive x-axis and negative x-axis. So positive numbers means positive x-axis. So OX is the positive x-axis. OX dash negative x-axis. Similarly here, OY dash. Here we have positive numbers. So this over here is the positive y-axis. So we have positive y-axis. Now, similar look over here, OY, negative numbers. So this over here is the negative y-axis. I repeat once again, the horizontal line is the x-axis, the vertical line is the y-axis. Now if you look on the x-axis, when we go to the right of 0, we have only positive numbers. So this is the positive x-axis. When we go to the left of 0, we have negative numbers, so negative x-axis. Similarly, when we go on top of 0, we have positive numbers, hence positive y-axis. When we go below 0, we have negative numbers, hence negative y-axis. Now look at the point O over here. It is the point where the two number lines meet each other. I repeat, this is the point where the two number lines meet each other. So it is 0 for both the number lines. So this point over here is called the origin. So this point is called the origin. So what is the meaning of the word origin? Meaning beginning, right? So the number line, you can say, or the Cartesian plane, this is the center of it. So it's the beginning of the Cartesian plane, right? Or the coordinate plane. So this over here is the origin, positive x-axis, negative x-axis, positive y-axis and negative y-axis, right? So I repeat once again, how do we get a coordinate plane? Simply take two number lines perpendicular to each other. We'll get a coordinate plane. Next, the horizontal line is the x-axis and the vertical line is the y-axis. Here this is the positive x-axis, this is the negative x-axis, this is the positive y-axis and this is the negative y-axis. And this point 0 over here, where both the number lines meet each other, is the origin, right? So it is 0 for the x-axis and 0 of the y-axis. So this over here is the origin. So I hope it is clear so far. Now if you observe, the coordinate plane is divided into four parts. One part, two part, three part and the fourth part. I repeat, these two perpendicular lines divide the coordinate plane into four parts. See, this over here is one part, this is another part, this is another part and this is another part. So each of these parts is called a quadrant. I repeat, each of these parts is called a quadrant. So this over here is a quadrant. Similarly, this over here is another quadrant. Similarly, this over here is another quadrant. And this over here is another quadrant. Right? So basically, we have 4 quadrants. How do we name them? We name them in counterclockwise direction. So this over here is quadrant 1. Then this over here is quadrant 2. Then this over here is quadrant 3. And this over here is quadrant 4. So generally we use Roman numerals over here. I repeat, the coordinate plane is basically divided into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of these is called a quadrant. We name it in the counterclockwise direction. So quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. What is counterclockwise? See, how does a clock move? A clock moves in this direction, right? So we're going in the opposite direction, that is towards the left. So begin from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I repeat, begin from here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? So now these axes, that is the x-axis and y-axis, are also called the coordinate axes. That is, this over here is the coordinate plane. So sometimes the x-axis and y-axis are also referred to as the coordinate axis. That is, let me write it down, coordinate axis. Alright, so what are the coordinate axes? They are basically the x-axis and the y-axis. Right? And the coordinate plane is also sometimes called as the Cartesian plane or the xy plane. Yxy plane, x-axis, y-axis, hence the xy plane. So coordinate plane, Cartesian plane, xy plane, all three mean the same thing. So this is a basic concept of the coordinate plane. So let me do a recap. What is a plane? A flat and smooth surface is a plane. How do we get a coordinate plane? Take a plane, draw 2 number lines perpendicular to each other, you will get a coordinate plane. So this over here is the coordinate plane. Now the horizontal number line is called the x-axis and the vertical number line is called the y-axis. The 0 of both the x-axis and the y-axis, this point is called the origin. Now here we have positive numbers, so positive x-axis. Here we have negative numbers, so negative x-axis. Here we have positive numbers, positive y-axis. Here we have negative numbers, negative y-axis. Now the coordinate plane is divided into 4 parts, each of which is called a quadrant. So this is quadrant 1, then quadrant 2, then quadrant 3, and then quadrant 4. This coordinate plane is sometimes referred to as the Cartesian plane or the xy plane. Similarly, the x-axis and y-axis are sometimes referred to as the coordinate axis. Right? So this over here is the concept of the coordinate plane.